Have you watched any good Christmas movies or Christmas horror movies yet this season?
We watched 2 very recently.
Oh,
One of them is horrifically inappropriate with the context of our episode today. It's
of
called
course.
Violent Night with David Harbour.
Oh, yes. I remember when that came out and wanting to see it, but now because of all the stuff about him, I don't want to see it anymore.
It's phenomenal.
Okay, good to know.
It's really good. And then we also watched one called Silent Night, which
Mm.
is very depressing.
Oh.
It's I don't like Christmas movies. I
Mm.
really just don't. I'm not a big Christmas
Just like
person.
not even like the happy Christmas
No,
movies? No, not
can't
really a
do it.
thing.
No, I don't know what it is. I honestly, I'm very stubborn in the sense that if it's not about horror or crime or aliens, I probably won't wanna watch it. Like, I
That's
really
fair.
have to, like, kinda get out of my comfort zone, which I've
Mhm.
gotten better at, but, I like it when horror and Christmas come together in movies. I think of, like, really cheesy ones like Krampus. I
I was
loved Krampus.
going to mention Krampus because we watched it together on Discord, and I really liked that one.
It's very fun.
I liked it, and I like the actors in it.
Mhm.
It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I do like with a horror movie.
Always.
I thought it was good. So if you haven't seen Krampus, go check out
And
Krampus.
Violent Night.
Yeah.
Even though David Harbour is having a heck of a time right now,
Yeah.
it's still a great
Publicly.
movie. Yes. But, with all that happiness, today's
Yeah.
episode is not a happy one, so, why don't we just get started?
Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Dina, welcome to the Grim Curriculum.
We are knee deep in the holiday season, and as we've learned many times in the past, this time of year isn't always as joyous as it's made out to be. In fact, many would argue that crime rates increase during this time of year.
Overall pressure to provide the perfect Christmas can lead some to commit crimes such as theft or fraud. Financial pressure, social gatherings, and alcohol consumption can also be linked to violent crimes.
It's no secret that this time of year tends to bring out the worst in some people.
Now, in the past, we've done our best to cover lighter hearted topics during the holiday season.
Mhm. This includes episode 37, which was our top 5 Christmas monsters and villains, as well as episode 89, Grim Christmas Traditions.
We've also covered more harrowing subjects like the murder of the Lawson family, which is episode 39 for those of you who are curious.
Just like that tragic story, today's episode will be a particularly difficult one to hear. If you're in the festive mood and you don't want to completely ruin your day or the rest of your holiday season, maybe this one is not for you. We would not hold it against you. You are free to skip this one.
Yeah. And like we said, we have lighthearted Christmas episodes to listen
Yes.
to. So this won't be one for everybody. And we're not joking when we say that the man who's responsible for the actions of this story is truly a trash bag of a human being.
Today's episode not only has to do with Christmas time, but it also involves a horrific mass murder by a horrible human being who chose to dress as none other than Santa Claus himself while carrying out these heinous crimes.
We are covering the story of the Covina Massacre.
This horrific attack left 10 people dead, including the perpetrator, along with 3 injured. It's a story that haunts many people to this day, and it all starts on Christmas Eve in the year 2008.
80-year-old Joseph Ortega, along with his 70-year-old wife Alice, were hosting their annual Christmas party at their home in Covina, California. Including themselves, there were 25 people in attendance, and the guests included their children and their families. This was an event that everyone looked forward to. They had spent hours setting up beautiful decorations and delicious food for everybody. The Ortegas would normally go as far as to have a man dressed up as Santa Claus show up to the event, which delighted the children. Unfortunately, that year, the man who played Santa had moved away.
Amongst those in attendance was 43-year-old Sylvia. She was the daughter of the Ortegas, and that year had been a difficult one for her. She had moved back in with them after a bitter divorce from her husband, Bruce Pardo.
The two had married in 2006. At first, Bruce seemed like the perfect man. He was described as friendly and outgoing. Bruce was active in the community and even volunteered at a local church. When the two met, he was working at a jet propulsion laboratory as an electrical engineer, and together the two were able to purchase a house and have a comfortable life. Many who knew them said that they were living the American dream. Bruce owned an Escalade, a Hummer, and a boat that they kept at Lake Havasu.
Tensions within their marriage started as most do, with financial issues. Prior to their marriage, Sylvia was a single mother of three. She worked at a flower nursery and made a fraction of what Bruce did. He refused to help with her children financially and insisted that they were her responsibility and not his. Can I say that's red flag number one?
Big time.
Just from a purely dating perspective, if kids are not your thing, don't date someone with kids.
It's that simple.
It literally is. Move on.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other people out there. So already off to a bad start,
Mhm.
Bruce.
By the time of their first wedding anniversary, she would report that he had become cold and distant, and the two would argue about money often.
What Sylvia didn't know was that in 1989, Bruce had gotten engaged to a coworker. The two had planned a large wedding and honeymoon in Tahiti. At that time, Bruce didn't have a lot of money himself, so his fiancée dipped into the savings account to pay for everything. The money was transferred to a joint bank account.
On the day of the wedding, Bruce was nowhere to be found. FBI profilers would later discover that he had withdrawn all of the money and had used it to pay for a lavish trip to Palm Springs for himself.
What the heck, dude?
The day of the wedding, steals the money, goes on vacation.
That's insanity. While Sylvia would never learn of this, she did come across some incredibly troubling information about her new husband. In 2007, she discovered that he had a child from a previous relationship that he had never told her about. Ooh, big red flag number three. I know Sylvia didn't know about the first time,
Yeah.
so admittedly, not a red flag for her at that time.
Hmm.
But again, if you are already married and you find out your spouse has a child you had no idea about and that they had an idea
Yeah.
about,
He just didn't tell you.
good lord.
This is a pretty significant thing to not tell your current wife,
Yes.
obviously. But despite this, she felt it was forgivable and that they could move on. That is until she learned something else.
About 5 years earlier, Bruce was watching the child, who was little over a year old at the time. He left the boy unattended while he was watching TV. Sometime during all of this, his son got out of the house and fell into the pool. When his mother came home, she found Bruce holding the boy, who was unconscious.
Luckily, the boy survived, but the lack of oxygen had left him a paraplegic who would need constant care for the rest of his life.
Upon learning this, Bruce decided that this was all a little too much for him and abandoned his family. Oh my god. What a piece of shit
Hmm.
already.
He paid no child support, and he offered no help when it came to the almost $350,000 in medical bills that came as a result of the accident. He did, however, continue to illegally claim his son on his taxes.
So let me just talk through this because I'm bubbling with rage
Mhm.
right now.
Please do.
This motherfucker is responsible for his son
Mhm.
becoming a paraplegic, and then he's just like, no, this is too hard. Peace out, Brussels sprout. And owes $350,000 in medical bills towards his child that he caused to become a
Yeah,
paraplegic.
but he's still
Oh,
claiming the kid on his taxes.
because of course he is. Like, we haven't even gotten to the massacre part of
Mhm.
this story, and already I hate this man with a
Oh,
fiery
yeah.
passion. This is awful.
When Sylvia learned this, the two began sleeping in different beds, and in March of 2008, they officially separated.
Bruce was livid. He fought with her over every matter in regards to their breakup. Sylvia begged him to let her live in the house until the end of the school year so her daughter could finish kindergarten, and he agreed. That is, until she took her to a birthday party. When they returned, she saw that Bruce had thrown all of their belongings out onto the driveway, and after this, Sylvia filed for divorce. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to just chime in and say during all of this,
Mm.
he is beloved by neighbors, by friends, by the church. We're going to talk about it later how everyone was so shocked when all of this happened. This guy was a monster from the get go.
He's hiding a lot of demonic activity, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of, I don't know if this guy was ever officially diagnosed with anything, but very narcissistic in the
Hmm.
sense that he has one mask that he shows to the public
Hmm.
and a very different one that he shows to the people that are closer to him.
Yeah, very much so. In June of that year, Bruce was ordered to pay his ex wife alimony. The first check bounced, and he had called his bank to stop the payment of the second one. That month, Bruce also purchased a 9mm semi automatic gun.
The following month, Bruce was fired from his job. He had been billing clients for work he was not doing. He was not eligible for unemployment benefits, and due to this, he was no longer required to pay alimony.
When all of this was said and done, Bruce was left with $31,000 in credit card debt, along with an almost $3,000 a month mortgage payment. This lack of funds and increasing debt didn't stop him from purchasing another gun that August.
He had wanted to purchase a third gun, but California law required him to wait a month, so he did. That same day, he ordered a custom made Santa suit from a local tailor.
In October, he purchased a fourth gun and visited a friend in Iowa who sold him 16 magazines that each held 18 rounds. This was far more than the legal limit in the state.
His friend would later report that Bruce seemed to be doing well overall. He did notice that he complained heavily about the financial strain of the divorce.
On December 18th, the divorce was finalized. Bruce was ordered to pay Sylvia $10,000, and she was also allowed to keep her engagement ring and the dog, and he was pissed.
But as she should be able, I always think, even in breakups,
Mhm.
it's like, I'm sorry, anything that you gave me as a gift during our relationship is mine.
Mhm.
And I believe personally that engagement rings, wedding rings fall under that is mine
Mhm.
category. Maybe you guys would disagree, I don't know. But it's like, no, you gave me that ring, it's mine.
I agree with you.
Yeah. This brings us to the night of the Christmas party.
At approximately 11:30 p.m., residents of the normally quiet neighborhood reported seeing a man dressed in a Santa suit exit a vehicle. He was carrying a large gift wrap box, and when he noticed them, he waved and wished them a Merry Christmas.
Little did they know, this Santa was carrying multiple firearms, and the gift wrap box concealed an air compressor that he had converted to spray fuel. It would be later described as a homemade flamethrower. That's terrifying.
Mhm.
But he's an electrical engineer, so I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a part of him that knows how to throw something together like that.
Mhm. He approached the door and knocked. Bruce immediately recognized the little girl who answered the door. It was his 8-year-old niece.
She greeted him as Santa, and he immediately shot her in the face. Miraculously, she would survive. The person who was likely shot next was a 16-year-old guest. She would also survive.
He knocks on the door, and this 8-year-old girl sees Santa.
Yeah,
And the survivors would report that she opened it and was like, "Santa, Santa, you're here."
because what 8-year-old
Yeah.
wouldn't? Oh, the thing that annoys me, annoys is such a small word for this, but how dare you take a beloved character
Yeah.
who children globally, adults globally,
Yeah.
adore and love, and is such a symbol of hope and joy and
Mhm.
happiness, and you converted it, had it tailored to
Mhm.
be the most evil thing. I hate that.
Yeah.
We were just talking earlier about how I really enjoy contrast. I
Mhm.
don't like this
No.
contrast.
No.
Do not
Not at
like.
all. Bruce then began shooting indiscriminately at those in the house as they attempted to flee. When he was satisfied with what he had done, Bruce unwrapped the air compressor and sprayed fuel all around the interior of the home. Police would later say that an open flame, along with the fuel, caused the home to engulf in flames and would later result in an explosion. It would later be determined that Bruce had likely intended to set fire to the house as he was leaving, but it didn't work out the way that he wanted. So basically, his plan was likely he would spray the house, he'd walk out, light a match, whatever.
Mhm.
But they said open flame, they don't know what it
I
was.
mean, it could have literally been like a tea light
That's
candle on
that's
a,
what they think it might have been, or like a fireplace or something
yes,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
Because all it takes is a spark. If there's that much
Mhm.
accelerant, not to mention if he's using, like, say, simple gasoline, the fumes from that alone, you wouldn't need to necessarily drop a match in a puddle of gasoline.
Yeah.
You would just light a spark and that
Yes.
would be it.
Exactly.
16 of the 25 guests managed to escape. One of the survivors made it to a neighbor's house where she called the police. Meanwhile, the house is still burning. Flames could be seen shooting 50 feet into the air. It would take almost 100 firefighters nearly 2 hours to extinguish the blaze so that they could safely enter the home.
When they did, they were met with a truly horrific sight. Several charred bodies were found near the front of the house. By the time their search was over, they would find a total of 9 bodies. Due to the severity of the fire, identification was not possible on the scene. The victims were eventually identified by dental records.
Bruce Pardo was responsible for the murders of Joseph and Alice Ortega, their sons Charles and James Jr., along with their wives Sherry and Teresa.
Their daughter Sylvia was also among the dead. All in all, the victims' ages ranged between 17 and 80 years old.
The survivors had all seen Bruce as he rampaged through the house. He was immediately considered to be the only suspect when it came to the murders.
About 3 hours later, police received a call from Brad Pardo, Bruce's brother. He lived a little over 60 kilometers away and had arrived home after attending a different party. He found his brother Bruce lying on the couch in a pool of his own blood. He had shot himself with one of the guns used at the Ortega home.
Honestly, that's just fucking rude for Brad.
Yeah,
Brad has nothing to do with this, comes home from having a good night at a Christmas party himself, and sees you with a gunshot wound to the face. Like, hello?
yeah, it gets worse.
I
You're gonna be so mad.
I already hated this man because I was aware of this case. I
Yeah.
remember it when it happened because 2008 is not that long ago.
Mhm.
I remember seeing it on the news and everything. I we talk about family annihilators, or we have talked about them in the past a few times, unfortunately. And the loss in family was near Christmas as well.
Yeah,
Um, I just the amount of destruction because you were mad about it.
yeah,
You know, you could have hopped on a plane, flown to Costa Rica, and never seen a soul ever again.
exactly.
But instead, you had to do this absolutely atrocious act. Awful.
Mhm.
When police arrived, they saw that Bruce had suffered severe third-degree burns on his hands and arms. Parts of the Santa suit had melted into his skin. They also saw that he was wearing a girdle with $17,000 in cash hiding in it. That leads me to believe this man did not intend to end his own life.
Oh, he sure didn't. It would later be revealed that Bruce also had traces of cocaine in his system.
With Bruce located deceased, investigators assumed this entire horrific ordeal was over, but they were wrong. Parked outside Brad's house was the car that Bruce had driven to the Ortega house. It was a rented Dodge Caliber. Inside were hundreds of rounds of ammunition, along with pieces of the Santa suit.
Upon further inspection, they saw that Bruce had booby trapped the vehicle so that the ammunition would fire all at once if the Santa suit was touched. This was described by police as a man made bomb. It was safely detonated with the use of robotics.
If that had been triggered,
Hmm.
the utter destruction that would have come about, if you have set it so that hundreds of bullets are
Hmm.
set to go off at once, a bullet is designed to be fired in the chamber of a firearm.
Hmm.
That explosion is controlled,
Yes,
obviously,
exactly.
and the bullet is pointed in a very specific direction. If a bullet goes off and is not confined in the chamber of a gun, whatever direction it ends up going in is whatever direction.
The way that he rigged it, he had hidden everything except for the
Oh.
Santa suit.
So they go for that immediately.
Exactly.
Diabolical.
Hmm.
Shortly after, police received a call from a man named Scott Nord. He had been Sylvia's divorce lawyer. He told them that a suspicious vehicle had been parked outside of his house.
It turned out that Bruce had rented a second vehicle. This one did not contain a trap, but it did show that Bruce had not only planned to survive the attack, he had wanted to flee the country.
And based on the fact that it's outside of the lawyer who represented your ex
Mhm.
wife, tells me that when you got to that vehicle, you weren't just going to pull away. You were probably going to go into that house
Yep.
first. Inside were maps of the US, Canada, and Mexico, along with food, water, and computers. It would appear that he had planned to drive the Dodge Caliber to Scott's house and use the second vehicle as his getaway car. Oh, so he was going to blow the first one up in front of the lawyer's
Mhm.
house and then piece the hell out of there in a second vehicle.
Yep.
The destruction!
Yeah. Some news stations even reported that he had a plane ticket to Canada.
Yikes, no thank you. We
Mm-mm.
don't want him. Evidence would later show that he had also likely planned to murder his own mother, who he believed had taken Sylvia's side in the divorce. But when he was badly burnt in the explosion, he took his own life.
The people of Covina were shocked by the events that took place on December 24th, 2008. The area had been known to be quiet and a safe place to live.
Many who knew Bruce were dumbfounded by what he had done. A former girlfriend of his would be reported as saying,
I can't believe I'm seeing my old boyfriend on TV and all the people he destroyed. It's very heartbreaking. He was a very easygoing person, a very friendly guy. I would never in my right mind think that he would ever do anything like this.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that maybe they weren't together that long.
They weren't, and it was in high school.
Yeah, so that's not really an accurate to now character
No.
statement. The head usher at the church where Bruce volunteered also stated,
He was the nicest guy you could imagine. Always a pleasure to talk to. Always a big smile.
as we've seen time and time again, it's clear that Bruce had two sides to him. Unfortunately, it was the Ortega family who saw the real him.
It's like you said, it's that mask of the narcissist.
Yep.
He's going to show his true side to the people he chooses to show that side
Yes.
to.
And it's always to dominate and to keep
Mhm.
control, right? Showing the good mask to members of the public is also a way of dominating that control as well, because it makes sure that in this case, Sylvia has no one to turn to.
That's just it.
She
Yeah.
couldn't go to the people at their church because Bruce is already involved there,
Yep.
and clearly they did not see that side of him. She's lucky in the sense that she had a very supportive family, and it sounds like even his mom knew that there was a problem there.
Well, she probably knew about the kid
Totally.
and the marriage and all of that other stuff.
Yes. I just again, it why do these people always choose this level of destruction when you could just walk away?
Yeah.
Walk away. Like,
He could
ugh,
have just gone to Canada.
literally.
Like, he could have just taken off and changed his name.
Yes. Instead of going to great lengths to murder people,
Yeah.
you could have just bought that ticket to Canada, my guy.
Mhm.
Literally. Ugh.
Another tragic byproduct of this crime came to light afterwards. The majority of his victims were parents, and the murders ultimately left 13 young people orphaned and 2 with the loss of one parent.
Numerous education and trust funds were set up for the children. Donations came in from all over the world to help the victims.
As for Bruce, his death meant that he faced no justice. Whether he truly thought he could escape or he gave up after he realized he would be caught is something we'll never know.
What we do know is that he was a coward and a truly vile human being. It does make me a little frustrated, as always,
Mhm.
when they don't get the justice that I feel is,
Yeah.
appropriate for this. But you did so much damage. And like you said, you left children orphaned.
Mhm.
Those kids had nothing to do with what you saw as your problems.
Yeah.
So you're just ruining lives left, right, and center. And then you kill yourself at the end of it.
Yeah.
So you don't even get the haha gotcha at the end of it. Because in the end, it was senseless, is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, any murder is going to be senseless, but with this, he was just a bitter, hateful man who essentially took out almost an entire family. And it's, I wonder what kind of justice he would have faced. Death penalty for sure, in my opinion. I don't think he
Mhm.
could have avoided that, and I think he knew that. But the fact that at some point, I think he genuinely thought he would get away with it.
Probably. I would imagine he thought he was a John List sort of situation where he would just disappear and never be seen ever again.
And that again is the mind of the narcissist, where they think, well, all of these other people are getting caught for doing this, but not me. I'm special.
Well, and he planned. He's an
Mhm.
electrical engineer, so I'm sure in his mind he thinks I'm smarter than all these
Oh,
people.
yeah.
I'm a genius. I've made myself a little flamethrower. I've had my Santa suit tailored months ahead of time,
Mhm.
by the way. So this was all very predetermined
Yeah.
in his mind. The the bittersweetness of it is that he didn't get away. He didn't get to escape.
Mhm.
but again, he didn't see justice through a legal system, that's very frustrating. And we don't really get an answer from him directly as to why this all was. Clearly, he's very pissed off about his ex-wife,
Yeah.
and everything that came along with that, but you don't get to hear it from him,
Yeah.
you know?
It's a tough one, honestly. We'd originally planned to cover a different topic this week, and then I found this one,
Mhm.
and it's one of those stories that just is like we said at the beginning, this episode isn't gonna leave you feeling good.
No, absolutely
You're
not.
not gonna turn this off and be like, "Alright, my day just got better," because it won't.
It's a prolific true crime case, it's a more recent true crime
Mhm.
case, it's a Christmas case, literally, and not just in a die-hard sense where it's not a Christmas movie, but it's happening around Christmas.
Yes.
This man dressed as Santa
Yeah.
in a custom tailored Santa suit.
I'm glad that suit burned onto him.
I
Just
th
melted into his skin.
There's a sense of poetic karma
Yeah.
from that he was also burned, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Burns are not nice, and I hope they hurt until the very fucking end.
Mhm. Alright, so with that,
We are in the outro.
yeah. I always feel weird plugging Patreon after we've talked about such horrible things, but if you like our content, you should check out Patreon. We have a free tier, you can get early episode reveals. We also have a
Mhm.
paid tier where we have a Discord, extra content, as well as a thank you at the end of the episode for our Grim VIPs. Take it away, Charlotte.
The grim VIPs in question are Mayhem Mudkip, Lisa, Nova, Kevinus Musicus, Brian, Bob, Paranoid Pop Rocks, Steven Centauri, Judy, Yegpla, and Atlantean Jedi.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you, and thank you all so much for listening. This has been
The
The
Grim
Grim
Curriculum.
Curriculum.
So I wanted a somewhat wholesome fact for the end of this
Please,
episode.
yes, please.
And my fact today is about Danny Trejo.
Oh, I love Danny Trejo.
He in his past has had a lot of issues with crime and drug
Oh,
abuse and things
yeah.
like that. And because of that, he has a clause in all of his movie contracts that says that if he is playing a villain,
Mhm.
he has to die by the end of the movie because he wants children to learn that crime doesn't pay.
Hell yeah, Danny Trejo. That is wholesome.
I love it.
I love that.